Hi, in this lesson I'm going to show you how to play a very simple bit of lead guitar for the song Handsome Molly, and we're going to deal with the music as you've got it on the tablature, and then I'm going to suggest to you that you might like to figure it out an octave higher on a different place in your guitar, but more of that later. Let's just play you the guitar part as it stands. It's pretty straightforward and sounds like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. So what I've done there, I've got the tune of the song and I've pretty much straightened it out. This is tablature you're looking at, which I'm guessing you're familiar with. The 6 lines are the strings and the numbers are the frets. And you can see we have what we call a pickup bar at the beginning, where we play just a tiny bit of a bar before we go into our first complete bar. So you count 1, 2, 3, 4 and you come in on the and counter 4. Look at the counting above. 1, 2, 3, 4 and the note is the 2nd fret of the D string. Notice I'm using my first finger. You could use your 2nd finger, I mean whatever finger's comfortable really. And then you play the open D 3 times. You do all downstrokes with the plectrum. That's absolutely fine. Counting 1 and 2, and on the end of 2, come back to that 2nd fret of the D, and you've got 2 open Gs. So in that second main bar you've got 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and notice beat 4 has got brackets around it because there's nothing on it, and you come in on the and after the 4 on the 2nd fret of the D. So you have from the beginning 1, 2, 3, 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and like that, see? And then on the last bar of that first line it's 1 and 2 and 3, and again nothing on beat 4. Open D played twice, 2nd fret of the D played once, open G played once, 2nd fret of the G. So the whole of the first line, 1, 2, 3, 4. One thing you'll notice when you play the electric guitar, if you're used to playing acoustic guitar, and I can remember when I was a young lad and I moved from acoustic to electric, it's quite hard to control the sound. When you're amplified and you're loud, you've got to keep damping things off your right hand, keeping the strings under control. You don't want this. Can you hear it's kind of ringing too much? You want to keep it under control with your right hand. I do a lot of what we call palm muting, when this part of my hand is in contact with the bridge, and just keep the sound under control. Don't let it ring too much. It's got that kind of muffled, slightly muffled sound, which is quite nice. Don't worry about that too much at first. If you're a real beginner, you know, just get the notes out. Right, second line now. We're on that 2nd fret of the G. We're going to stay there. We're going to play it 3 times. Drop to open G. Then we've got a funny little 2, a tiny 2 and like a slash sign, and that means a slur. We're going to slur up quickly from 2 to 4, slide if you like. That's why the 4 is typed in the normal size font and the 2 is tiny, because that is a quick, we call it a grace note. And we could go, but we like that slur, don't we? Can you hear it? It amounts to the same thing, but that little slur makes it sound interesting. Come back to the 2nd fret of the G. Notice the little vibrato, little wobble of my finger. Push the finger down hard on the string, and then just move the string up and down. That gives you that nice vibrato. 2nd bar, 2nd line. Open G played 3 times. 2nd fret of the D, open D. And then you've got that 2nd fret of the D. Now if you look at that 2nd fret of the D on the end count at the end of that bar, that is essentially the same as the beginning of the tune. Go back to the beginning, you'll see it's the same. So you go through again, as it says above, timing as earlier, and of course the notes are the same. Then we have this bar that's only got 2 beats. I put a circle around that only 2 beats. You count it 1 and 2 and one more note to play, open G on that last bar. So that's pretty straightforward. Let's just play that through. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that sounds pretty nice, doesn't it? And I've put at the top there, I've said play this solo as directed. I'll probably look at you and I'll say, you know, take a solo. You won't be playing all the way through the tune. It actually goes 8 times this sequence. You're not going to play that all the way through. It'll be very trying for the audience. We'll just probably get you to play it a couple of times in the tune. One thing I wanted to say was that if you listen to my recording of this, you'll hear that I'm playing the banjo, and sometimes the banjo I bring the tune up 1 octave. Now I've not written this down, but this might be a nice little exercise for you. Instead of playing the tune down here, how about playing it up here? So just to give you a hint, and this is good practice for you to try and figure this out, it starts on the 9th fret of the G. Notice I'm using some good fingering here. Finger 3, finger 1, back to finger 3, finger 2 on the B string there, and then little finger there. That's a really good practice riff. You get to use all 4 fingers. That's a 10B there. Change your finger when you do this to your 3rd finger. So you can slide up, see? Back to your original position. I mean, you may or may not be able to do this or figure it out, but it sounds quite nice. If you do half the solo down here, and do the second half up here. So do that if you can. If you can't, stick with the lower version of it. But it's, you know, it's a bit of very straightforward lead guitar, but it sounds really good. Let's play it with the track. Okay, we won't play over the vocal.
I wish I was in London or some other seaboard town. I set myself on a steamship and I sail the ocean round. I'm sailing round the ocean, I'm sailing round the sea.
So we're going to come in with our solo, and I'll do a split, half low, half high. You go 2, 3, 4. So you can see it actually sounds quite good, although it's a pretty straightforward bit of lead. It sounds great, doesn't it? And a lot of it is the sound, a lot of it is the tone of the guitar. I'm using a very clean sound here. Obviously I'm using a very expensive guitar and a very expensive pedal board to get this sound. But basically the sound it's not distorted, is it? It's a lovely clean sound. You might be able to hear that I've got a bit of what we call reverb on it that makes the guitar sound as though you're playing in a huge hall. So if you've got reverb on your amp, or reverberation, or you've got it on a little pedal board, that's a good thing to have. If you haven't, don't worry, we can add that when we do our concerts. We can add that on our mixing desk when you're plugged into it. So there we are, pretty straightforward, but it's good fun to play, and I hope you enjoy it.